Uduak was the kind of man people respected without words. He was steady, reliable, and humble, never one to raise his voice. In the mornings, he walked to work in his pressed shirts, greeted neighbors politely, and in the evenings, he came home with bread or fresh tomatoes for dinner. But his wife, Ino, was never satisfied. Her words cut like blades, and every day felt like walking barefoot on broken glass. She complained about the soup being too thin, the money not enough, his smile too weak for a man. Uduak hadn't noticed when he stopped smiling. It just faded, like sunlight swallowed by a storm. Their small house carried the echoes of every insult, every slammed plate, every sigh. Even the walls seemed tired, the paint peeling like old wounds. When Uduak tried to talk, Ino rolled her eyes. When he stayed silent, she accused him of sulking. There was no winning. At night, Uduak would sit outside under the mango tree, staring at the stars and wondering when his marriage turned into a storm he couldn't escape. Next door lived Aini, a woman from Akwa Ibom, whose laughter was the kind that made flowers turn toward the sound. She tended her small garden every morning, humming songs her grandmother taught her. When she laughed, it wasn't loud, it was soft, like rain tapping on a zinc roof. The first time Uduak passed her gate and she greeted him, it startled him. Not because she spoke, but because she smiled at him like she meant it. One day, rain caught Uduak on the road. He stopped by Annie's veranda for shelter. "Come, sit," she said, bringing out a wooden stool. Then she went inside and returned with a steaming bowl of ofong soup and gori. "You look like you haven't eaten food cooked with joy in a long time," she teased gently. He didn't answer, but when he tasted the soup, something in him softened like dry soil drinking rain. When Uduak got home late that day, Ino noticed the shift in his eyes. But instead of asking why he seemed calmer, she demanded to know where he'd been. Her voice was sharp, her arms folded, her words like stones thrown in anger. That night, they slept back to back, silence thicker than any war. Aini didn't ask for anything grand. She just talked to him like he mattered, asking if he'd eaten, teasing him about his wrinkled shirts, listening when he spoke. One evening, she told a silly story about her stubborn goat, and Uduak really laughed. It startled him, that sound. It had been so long since it escaped his chest. Ino could feel him slipping away. She shouted more, slammed pots harder, even accused him of having another woman. Her rage became like fire in a dry field, burning everything, leaving ash where love used to be. Her breaking point came one night. Uduak returned late. He had been talking with Aini, though nothing improper had happened. Ino screamed, grabbed the pot of soup she had cooked, and threw it into the yard. The hot broth splashed onto the dirt, and stray cats rushed to lick it up. Uduak stood there, quiet. Something in his chest broke cleanly, like a stick snapped in two. He wiped his hands on his trousers, looked at her, and said softly, "I don't think I belong here anymore." Uduak didn't go far, just next door. Aini didn't ask questions. She simply handed him a glass of water, told him to sit, and quietly set an extra plate at her table. For the first time in years, Uduak ate and felt full, not just in his stomach, but in his soul. His neighbors whispered. They gossiped at the well, they murmured in the market. Some blamed Uduak, some blamed Ino. But most simply nodded knowingly. They had heard Ino's sharp words through the walls for years. They had seen the way Aini treated him, not with seduction, but with respect. In time, the whispers turned into a saying. She is Akwa Ibom, they'd say. See how she feeds his soul. See how her hands bring peace. It wasn't just about where she came from. It was about how she carried her warmth like an inheritance, how her kindness became a shelter. That is why they call her Akwa Ibom woman. Uduak never returned to the storm he left. With Aini, life wasn't perfect, but it was gentle. Meals were shared with laughter, silences were soft, and his smile lived on his face again, not in old photographs. And every evening, as the neighbors heard their quiet laughter through the walls, they said, "Now you know why they call her Akwa Ibom woman."